So I'm quite bullish, quite frankly, on what's going to happen in Libya. Now, vacuums can be filled. When the Russians left Afghanistan, the rest is history, right? The Taliban come in and they fill that vacuum. From what I can understand about Libya, the makeup of Libya is different than it was in Afghanistan. That you have a fairly educated population, and the good news for the Libyan people, they're a very oil-rich nation. They have over $30 billion of assets that have been frozen throughout the world. So I'm urging our administration to release those funds as quickly as possible so that the new government in Libya will be able to get their hands on the money and start bringing about real change. You're going to hear just in a minute about how broke we are and the challenges we face as a nation. But you have to do more than one thing at a time in politics, business, raising a family. There's a lot going on in this world that's going to require our attention. And being a broke nation doesn't mean that you have the luxury of ignoring things going on around you. We have financial problems. They can be overcome, but they're going to create a lot of challenges and require sacrifice, unlike any time since World War II for the American people. But having said that, we're still the leader of the free world, and thank God we are. With all of our works and with all our problems, I think we're the best hope for humanity. That the best thing that's ever happened to the world, I believe, is the United States of America. That with our problems and with our wars, that we represent the best in humanity, and that those young men and women fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places on our behalf are the best among us. So it is my hope and belief that the Libyan people, once they get Gaddafi completely replaced, they're going to take advantage of this historic opportunity to create a representative government. It's going to be hard. And I hope they don't get C-SPAN because they won't want to go down the democracy road if they're watching the Congress. So sometimes maybe we're better talking about democracy than we're actually doing it ourselves, because you can see in this country how hard it is. We had our own civil war here. So when we talk about those people, you got to remember at one time we were those people. Different groups, different tribes, Presbyterians, Episcopalians, Baptists. You know, that's what I love about this country. You know, somebody asked me how conservative South Carolina is. I said, the Episcopalians handle snakes in my state. I think you didn't understand why I won. Well, we're good people in South Carolina. Smiling faces, beautiful places. So even though we're broke, now's a chance to help the Libyan people help themselves, free up the money that they rightly own, and get on the ground as quickly as we can and establish some institutions that will serve the Libyan people well. But one thing I can tell you, in history, find me an example of where two democracies went to war. Democracies have a way, through the rule of law, of working out their problems, Steve. And that's the one thing that's missing in most of these countries, the rule of law. Why do you have a militia? Because you don't trust the courthouse or the cops. Why do you take up arms for your clan? Because you think the government is not fair to you. We can't even relate to a country where the police are your enemy, where the government picks the few all the time against the many. So the goal of Libya, Tunisia, and Egypt is to give these young people who risk their lives a chance to have a better future. And I would tell you, of all the things going on right now today, Egypt is the prize to be won. It's the largest country in the Arab world. This is the first time in 6,000 years that democracy may take hold in Egypt. The Muslim Brotherhood is growing in influence, and that's bad for us. So it is in our national security interest, even though we're economically challenged at home, not to disengage. And you don't have to send 100,000 troops to be effective. You don't have to send $500 billion to be effective. Sometimes a little bit of money with private sector support, where American business, American expertise is sent to that country at a meaningful time, can really change the future of humanity. So please watch for the rest of this year what's going to happen in Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya. The elections are scheduled in Egypt in November. We're trying to get $1 billion, that's a lot of money, but in terms of the federal government, not a lot, into Egypt at a time it may matter. So foreign aid is a very complicated, controversial topic, particularly when you're broke. But I would urge every member of the Rotarian community to understand the motto you indicated today, reaching out. that not only is good for a Rotary Club, it is good for the American people and the American government to reach out and help those who live in peace with us.